Hi, folks. This is the MTG PlanesTalkers giving you the news. This is Sean.
This is Rez.
So we're going to be talking about the new happenings in the Magic community with the immediate banning of Peregrine Drake.
Really interesting. An emergency banning in Pauper today. Peregrine Drake. So Peregrine Drake is a 4 generic, 1 blue, is a 2/3 flying Drake. But the interesting thing is, when it comes into the battlefield, you untap 5 lands. For those of you not familiar with Pauper, Pauper is a format played with all common lands.
All commons, not just lands.
Yeah, that would be an interesting. All commons. And how did Peregrine Drake end up in Pauper, Sean?
So it was reprinted from the Urza block that was originally an uncommon. It was printed in Eternal Masters as a common. So they reprinted it as a common. I guess they were trying to add more to the Pauper format. It started getting popularity. So Wizards, I guess, wanted to throw them some new cards that weren't in there. That's some older ones. I guess there may have been some people there that wanted Peregrine Drake in it. It came around really oddly, it seems.
So you say that it was specifically given to the Pauper community. Wizards saying, "Here's a great card. Have fun with it." I'm under the assumption that it was the other way around, that Wizard just had a blind eye to Pauper, realized that Peregrine Drake in the Eternal Masters draft format was going to be unnecessarily uncommon, that it's just not that great to be at an uncommon level, so they just put it at the common level where it's okay at, and then went, oh yeah, we got that thing on Pauper over there, well, I guess they can play with it and have fun, and then it completely destroyed Pauper.
Yeah, almost everyone was stopped playing Pauper. Because you're playing Peregrine Drake, or you were playing against Peregrine Drake, and then you didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, and the thing that gets me is we just had a B&R release, 3-4 weeks ago? When they announced no changes, nothing in Standard, nothing in Modern, nothing in Pauper. There were a few in Legacy and Vintage, but I'm not rich enough to care about that. What in the last couple of weeks did Wizards finally get their act together and go, you know what, now it's too much?
They probably looked at their MTGO sales, because Pauper's a really popular online format.
It's only official online.
It's only official online, which is why it makes it so much more popular than in paper. People do play it a lot in paper. I mean, I remember people years ago playing Pauper.
Yeah.
So it was a format. It just really gained a lot of steam on MTGO, and I guess a lot of people started dropping off and not playing it.
Yeah, I wish Wizards was more on the ball and not done this at the emergence. People were clamoring for this banning back at the B&R release. So what is it about the past couple weeks where Wizards finally caught up to the game? Because it wasn't like it was just now taking over the Pauper world. It was taking over the Pauper world at the B&R release.
It was actually taking over the Pauper world almost immediately.
Oh, right.
I remember when the set was coming out and people were talking about, some were very excited about Peregrine Drake's downgrade from uncommon to common. They're like, oh, it's going to be great for Pauper. And there was a lot of people who were saying it was going to be terrible for Pauper because of just the power level
they had just
of the card.
Banned Cloud of Fairies.
Exactly.
So this is basically the same thing, if not better. So they knew this effect of untapping lands was busted in the Pauper format. So that's why I'm under the opinion that Wizards just did not even care about Pauper, just accidentally put it in the format and hoped it would be okay, and now they have to run behind with their tails behind their legs going, oops, we made a mistake.
It's funny that you mentioned the banning of Cloud Fairies in Pauper, and then they kind of make Peregrine Drake.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Necropotence was originally banned in Legacy.
Yep.
And then they made Yawgmoth's Bargain, which is a double the cost.
Right. Because that'll fix it.
Because that's what they felt would fix it. So may have been the same assumption, like, oh, well, it's not going to be that bad. It's double the cost. It's a little more than double the cost. So they seem to have this track record of doing this with cards where they're like, oh, it's not the ability, it's because it's 2 mana and the ability, instead of that ability is busted.
Yeah, in the world of Magic, I think the ability needs to take all precedence. Because unless you're casting things absurdly, like 15 mana cost, an extra 1 or 2 mana, it's still going to be pretty bad. It's not going to be as bad, but it's still going to be broken.
Well, that's the whole point. Is So it takes you another 2 turns to do an infinite combo in a format that doesn't have the greatest answers. And I mean, it's an instant speed combo. It's not a sorcery speed combo, which are awful.
This is true. All right, so we move from Peregrine Drake from the online world to the online world maybe taking over the real life world with treasure chests. So what are treasure chests, Sean?
So the treasure chests are just the new format for giving out standard prizes on MTGO. Like, so the constructed play gets these treasure chests. Well, drafts you still get the packs for, which is, I think a lot of people would be very angry if you got treasure chests instead of packs.
I know. As a draft player, I want to see those packs so that I can turn around and go draft again.
Yes. So they now have these treasure chests, which will have a common and an uncommon from any current standard set, and then they'll have a rare or a mythic from any modern
League set.
Yeah, any modern.
And then they've got these whole little things like this card might become foil, this card might become rare, whatever. The idea is your prizes are now, rather than packs, which you either turn around and sell to a bot or turn around and draft, because I don't know anybody, even the most cardboard crack addicted people amongst us, who actually crack packs on Magic Online.
Oh, you only crack packs on Magic Online when you accidentally click open all.
Have we done that?
I have done that.
Oh, I feel sorry.
I've seen people do it worse. I remember when I was watching one of the Goldfish videos where he opened up 8 Eternal Masters packs by accident.
Oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts. But anyway, point aside, when you win packs, you're not cracking them. You're either putting them back into the ecosystem or you're playing them yourself, thus putting them back into the ecosystem. To this treasure chest, which rather than the normal 15 cards, you get 3, yada, yada, yada. And now they're taking that idea and bringing it to the real world, into our paper world. So for Buy a Box promo, as well as these, I don't want to call them Sunday series because that's not a thing anymore.
Well, they're the Saturday afternoon magic.
Saturday afternoon magic. All right.
I'm not sure exactly.
Do I get tea and biscuits as well while I play my Magic? So we get for, I guess it's up to the stores whether they get for participating, for winning. It's up to the store to decide.
Yeah, stores have to, I think, actually put a bid in with Wizards, what I saw.
Okay.
So they have to, like, ask Wizards for these products.
Okay.
It's not like they're just going to be giving them out and telling you, like, you have to run Saturday Magic.
But the interesting thing is Wizards is actually providing the prize support now.
Yes.
From my understanding up into the past, and I'm not a store owner, so comment in the section below if you know more than me, but it's been up to the store to decide how they do prize support. And in our local area, we've got a blessing and a plethora of stores, and they do different things. We've got stores that do pack per win. We've got a store that does box for the winner, which is the strangest thing I've ever seen. We've seen like 3 to the top, 2 to the second, and things like that. But it's always been up to the store to decide prize support. And now it seems Wizards is kind of jumping in the game saying, this is what we want you to do.
Yeah, they really have taken the control out of the stores on that one a lot. Although stores can still provide extra prizes. I mean, there is no rule saying that you can only provide this prize for this event.
Right.
So they can still add booster packs. They can charge, I guess, more than the $5 they normally would.
And this is
the one store we played at would charge $10, and that's the box for
right.
a win. So if you want it, you got the whole booster box.
And this is for standard events.
Yes, it's standard only, though. So you cannot be doing a modern tournament and giving these prizes out.
And I don't think we've actually said the real life treasure chest. Do they have an actual name yet, or?
I have not seen a name. They're 3-card packs.
Right.
With 2 rares from standard, and the third's like a mythic or a rare.
Right. With a chance to be an invention.
There's a good chance. It's a 1 in 33 shot compared to a 1 in 96.
Right, and I think that's the interesting, and it's also inventions and the expeditions from Zendikar block. So that's kind of interesting that you've got a good shot at getting all these kinds of fancy cards, and a pretty good shot. So a couple thoughts that come to my mind when I first heard about this. Is this going to crash the market for expeditions and masterpieces?
I would say if I had some of the more expensive ones, I might consider selling them.
Selling them because they're going to be more in the market, especially since they're going back to Zendikar, which I don't know anybody who's cracking some packs of Zendikar recently.
Those might stay in value a little more since they're the lands.
True.
Some of the lands. The fetch lands I would consider keeping. The others, chuck them.
Okay. So hit there.
The inventions will crash.
The inventions, and they're already starting to crash. I think we see. We see treasure chest is the 3 cards.
I think Wizards might be testing this out to see if they can kind of cut the fluff, so to speak, because they know that players like me, when I go to play Friday Night Magic, I give my cards all away. I don't keep anything really except the super valuable cards.
Right.
So I'm not going to go and buy packs.
And even when I keep I've kind of had to retrain myself to look at the uncommons just in case there's that Ether Hub, which is actual valuable uncommon. But other than that, I'm just looking at the rare, mythic, and hopefully Expedition Masterpiece anyway. So if I could buy that for $1 or $2, where it's just that single card and play that lottery, I might do that.
I think if you sell them for $1, it would completely plummet the prices.
So what would be a price that is reasonable that you would pay and still not destroy the entire Magic the Gathering market?
So I guess at a 1 to 33 chance for an invention.
Right.
And if there's at least 3 rares in this pack, because they're all going to be at least rare, there's a chance for 1 to be mythic. You'd probably have to charge at least like $2.25 for these. Maybe $2.
I still think I'm okay with that. It's a standard. I've got a good chance. I'm going to play the lottery. Considering I'm paying $4 or $5 anyway, depending on how much my store is gouging me, I think that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you really look back at it, stores historically have charged $1 per bulk rare. Like that was always the price, kind of like $1 per bulk. The online stores have kind of gotten away from that, so now you can kind of get cards for cheaper than that bulk price. So you can get some terrible rares for 25 cents, 10 cents.
Right.
Pretty much what they buy them at, or pennies if they're truly awful. But to keep these cards from completely destroying the entire ecosystem that is the Magic world, you cannot charge $1 a pack for these.
All right. I still think $2 is worthwhile, and I think this is definitely an experiment Wizards is doing to test the waters and see whether or not people are willing to buy less cards. But the other side of that, then, the rares and mythics might come down. But if I'm given the choice between a $2 rare and a $4 rare, I think I'm going to go for these these 3 card packs every time. What does that do to the supply of commons and uncommons? Because in the standard we're looking at right now, there are some really valuable commons and uncommons that are seeing a lot of play. I'm thinking Ether Hub. I'm thinking Thraben Expector. Shoto's winning Pro Tour deck was almost 75% commons and uncommons.
Yeah, we're noticing this a lot more now with new decks, is that they're not so reliant on rares. When I was in the Innistrad block, most of my deck was...
Well, yeah.
I mean, I was playing America Miracles,
right.
Return to Ravnica, Innistrad, and probably 80% of that deck was rares. And now we're coming to this format where if you look at all these top-tier decks, they may only be running 8 rares plus all the rare lands. Like their decks are...
Rare lands
are still going to be
You can't get around them.
So essentially we're going to be all land-heavy, again, like Modern is.
Which is scary. But yeah, I like Reflector Mage is another uncommon. We see a lot.
$2 now for Reflector Mage. So
yeah,
and they still hold some value.
It still holds some value at uncommon. So if people stop opening regular booster packs, what does that do to the value of commons and uncommons that they're not going to be in the market enough? Can we really rely on drafters to completely supply the rest of the market?
I think if those prices for commons and uncommons started to creep up, people would start buying the boxes again. I mean, that's
how
really
expected value works.
Yeah, so that's really the whole thing. And if the commons in the set all jumped, like if every single common in Kaladesh was suddenly $2, people would be cracking packs.
Oh, absolutely.
Until those prices came down to a reasonable amount.
But I don't want to live in a standard world where commons and uncommons go up and down, up and down, up and down, and all of a sudden I got to watch the market to see whether or not it's worth it for me to crack packs or not.
That is very true. I don't care to watch the market enough for me to go run out and buy a booster box because it has an expected value of $110
Yeah.
and it's $90 on shelf.
Especially if it's just commons and uncommons that are going to make up all the value because, whatever. I think it's an interesting experiment. I think a lot has to be seen about exactly how it works. If it continues beyond just this Saturday afternoon series. Wizards, if you're listening, I expect tea and crumpets. If you're going to call it something like Saturday series, let's go all the way. But I think it's an interesting experiment.
Yeah, I would welcome these 2-card packs. Then I might actually consider buying some. Like, I would probably take those as my prizes over actual packs or to store credit.
I have to agree. And the last thing we want to talk about, although we're a little bit late because we're just starting our podcast-esque video here, is the announcement of longer standard.
Yeah, we seem to be the last ones to the party here, but this is a big change, and it really felt like it was announced after Collective Company rotated out.
Yeah, you and I have talked numerous times. It really seemed to be Coco had a target on its back. A lot of people starting to grumble, it should be banned, let's get rid of Collective Company. And then it got to the point where it's only in standard for another 3 months, it's only in standard for 2 months, it's only in standard for 1 month. Who cares? Forget about it. And then as soon as Collective Company disappears, all of a sudden, you know what? They're all back in standard for a long time. Not that I'm opposed to that, because I don't want Coco in standard any more than the next guy, but
it was a very odd announcement because it seemed they came out and claimed it was because they listened to the voice of the people, and they were like, well, what we tried didn't work. But they never tried anything was the problem.
Right.
They just said it didn't work after Collective Company left.
Yeah,
so
they didn't really give it a chance to be tried. Granted, I think they're right. I don't think it was going to work. I don't think people were going to pay for standard decks every 6 months, was it going to be, with rotation?
Yeah, every 6 months was rotation.
Yeah, you can barely get people to play for a standard deck every 1.5 to 2 years.
It would definitely hurt me playing standard.
Oh, definitely.
I would not consider a worthwhile investment in even $100 deck.
No, not at all. For a 6-month time period.
Especially when the cards have such a big drop-off nowadays. I mean, really, look at the sets that have just rotated out, even cons. I mean, the cards, if they didn't have the fetch lands in the first, like the cons of Tarkir, there's almost nothing over $5.
And with standard, I don't know about you, my deck isn't set till around the Pro Tour. So that's 2 weeks from release. So my 6-month window probably gets down to 5 months by the time that I pick which deck I'm going to play, get all the cards, yada, yada, yada. So I think the rotation was definitely going to go too fast. It just seemed rather rushed for a decision of Wizards, who is notorious for their slow decision making.
Yeah, they do kind of handle these things usually very cautiously, since they do know that last time they did a big change, it really messed everything up so badly, like with Chronicles and...
Absolutely. I don't think that was the last time, but that's probably the most infamous time.
That's the most infamous, at least. The biggest time where they were like, hey, it's going to be a great idea, we should reprint these cards that everyone likes, and then they completely crushed the market for them. And it honestly might have killed the market for Standard, because people wouldn't be willing to pay these outrageous prices for these Standard decks, and so the stores would actually have to charge significantly less for them, since they're only going to be in Standard for 6 months. And then you would have those weird periods where people are buying their decks at the start of Standard, selling them almost completely off halfway through Standard rotation, just to try beating that decline.
So I think it comes back full circle, though, to the emergency banning of the Drake right now. Are we seeing a new Wizards that is going to be able to react quickly and change Standard when it needs to be? Although they were a little bit sluggish with the Drake, I don't think they were terribly sluggish. They didn't let several cycles go through before they decided to ban it. Has Wizards changed a corner and is going to be able to react in a timely manner to the needs of the players?
I would say no.
No faith in Wizards.
Well, the Peregrine Drake banning, while it was good, they had the opportunity to ban it last banning cycle.
Right.
They said, there's no changes, everything's good, let's ride this ship out. And everyone knew Peregrine Drake at that point was a problem. And I'm not sure if Wizards really has their fingers on the pulse of every format, but Definitely not Pauper.
I think the only event that they care about is FNM. Whatever that form may be, they don't care what they're playing as long as they're playing something in FNM, whether it's modern, whether it's standard, whether it's draft, and standard. Yeah. I think those are the two events Wizards care about the most right now.
Yeah, Wizards makes the most money off standard and draft, so that's where, in reality, that makes sense. Like, as a company standpoint, they don't really make any money off the secondary market. So why should they care about the secondary market?
That is a whole debate that I don't feel like getting into right now.
Yes, it is this whole thing.
Yeah, no. Well, I think that's a good point to end it here. Wizards, please don't ban us from events forever for that comment. We love you. Keep making cards.
Just make them so that we have hate for them.
And please